6 o'clock, we're gonna call the meeting to order. All board members are present with the exception of Mark Pickler, who's excused. First up on the agenda is the review of the June 10th public meeting minutes.
Make a motion to accept the June 10th meeting minutes.
Second.
Any discussion? All right, all those in favor of the motion, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Abstain?
I'll abstain.
All right, minutes are accepted. The date and location of the next meeting is July 22nd here at Belmont Middle School. We may revisit that a little bit later in the agenda. So, okay. For the moment, that's the next meeting schedule. Public communication and correspondence. All right, board member reports. I'll start.
One of the things that I wanted to bring up at the meeting today that I don't know if anybody's been following St. Allison's, the town of Canterbury has, there's a proposed housing complex that's going to go in right off of exit 18 on West Road. There, I think it's 37 units.
35 housing units and 2 industrial,
Yes.
or 2 commercial units, excuse me, not industrial.
The planning board meeting was a week or so ago. The planning board asked the builder to submit regional impact study. His response during the meeting is there is no regional impact. At which point it was explained to him how our school district works, that it is not just Canterbury, it is in fact regional to include Belmont.
So actually, I'll just sort of piggyback on that. What was decided by the planning board was that they would push off the vote until a impact study was done. So I would say just be like ready. I'm gonna direct this to you guys, but just be ready for like an email to come, sort of regarding that. So.
The impact study itself, if
They should hopefully be reaching out.
I'm not entirely positive how this works, but my hope would be that they would reach out to explain to you the process.
So I received an email from Karen Santoro today, who's the town planner, who just gave me notice of it, which isn't a butter notice, and I'll share that with the board. I haven't had a chance to read it yet.
But that's with Belmont?
Yeah, it's from town of Belmont.
So then probably Brendan O'Donnell, who's the planning board chair, would have probably reached out to the town of Belmont rather than the school board. So I don't know exactly how it's going to work, how to reach out, but just sort of be prepared for that.
Yeah.
And the next planning board meeting is the 22nd. Sound right?
Yeah, I think
That does sound right. But actually, there might be one tonight.
Is there? I thought I had it on my calendar as the 22nd.
Ignore me, I'm not sure.
So this lists a site walk on the 22nd at 6 p.m.
Yes.
114 West Road, Canterbury. So where is that?
So if you get off at exit 18, it's not directly across the street, but directly across the street.
Okay. And then the public hearing is the 22nd, 7 p.m., so an hour later, town hall.
All right, so we will
So
discuss
I'll
a
be
little bit
happy
further
to
here.
District.
I'll forward this to the board just for your reference.
I have no report, so. Oh, did you have any? Next up are the principal reports. There's a lot of information in the packet. Going to order of the agenda. BES You have anything you want to add, or in addition to what we have, anything you want to share?
I don't think so. I mean, we have our yearbook, which I think we typically present to you, so if anybody wants to look at that, we can pass that down. But, I shared a couple of things that I thought were positive about the year, and if you have questions, I'm happy to take them.
Do you have a breakdown like Mrs. Chubb did related to kind of how many kids are in intervention? And I don't know if you saw her report.
No,
So meaning you didn't see her
I
report?
did not. I did not
Okay,
look at it.
or you don't have the breakdown. So she broke down last year to this year, relating to basically those who were in tier 2 interventions and those who kind of graduated out of tier 2 and kind of how many students we have in each and that.
Yeah, I don't have those numbers with me, but I do have them. Yeah, I mean, we had a very successful year. Our Title I programs
Right.
are tier 2 intervention, big part of it, and we had a number of students, I guess what you would call graduate out, but they ended their intervention cycles
Right.
throughout the year, so that's been a very positive part of our programming.
Is that just one report question, or the
I'm talking about,
year-end reports?
no, the comparison data related to the interventions for literacy is what I was referencing.
Other questions for Belmont Elementary School? All right, next up is Canterbury.
All right. So we had a really great last couple of months of the year. Very busy with lots of different events and activities. I did highlight our SST information because it's something we're very proud of. Teachers have really taken hold of utilizing science of reading approaches, and we are seeing really nice shifts. So just like Ben was saying, students have been able to graduate from receiving that extra support. We keep monitoring to make sure they're still doing well. Sometimes kiddos pop back in, but for the most part, if they graduate, they only need the tier 1 from that point. So it's a real success. Happy to take any questions.
So I have a question, and it's probably for Ben too. How do you in general include families in the tier 2 interventions in the development of the plan as required by the law?
So we actually collaborated to ensure that our process was similar. I mostly did that collaboration with Jill Hardison, the reading specialist at BES. She designed a really nice template that they used, and we just tweaked it for our site that lets parents know the specific skills that the students are working on at that point, where they presently stand with their different assessments, and how that compares to where they should be. And parents are always welcomed to meet with us. We have great communication with the parents. They'll ask if they have questions, and they'll give input, especially as far as what they're doing at home, what they're finding that works, and what their struggles are.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Our first cycle lines up nicely with parent-teacher conferences too, so we have presented our letters to parents at the first parent-teacher conference, or just ahead of the parent-teacher conference, so they can ask questions at those conferences if they have them.
Thank you.
Other questions for Mr.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Belmont Middle School.
Hey, everyone. Got a yearbook for you. Start right down the middle. We too, and we had a really successful ending of the year as well. We had to move our promotion ceremony inside, which was a little bit of a bummer, but I think it turned out really great, and I think people were happy with I think in the 18 years, I think it's been 3 times we had to be inside that I've been here, so pretty good odds. It was close. We had to make kind of a judgment call, but it did end up being pretty nice outside, but it just takes time to set up and get all that preparation done, so I think people were pretty happy with it. And then I just highlighted a bunch of end of the year type of activities we do, like financial literacy, which is really a great opportunity for our 7th and 8th grade students. It's a collaboration with the community, local banks, things like that. So kids always enjoy that activity, and really eye-opening to see how quickly their money goes. And, just some end-of-the-year clubs. The hiking club, first year, very successful. We had some great guest speakers this year. So it was a really good ending of the year. People felt really good about it. So happy to answer your questions if you may have.
All right, thank you. And high school.
So based on the length of my report, you can tell I was really, really proud of this year.
Don't read the whole report.
I'm sure you did.
Right, yes.
No, the end of year events were really terrific. Again, we finally, after a couple of years of having to be moved inside because of weather, we were able to have a commencement ceremony outside. And I thought it was absolutely beautiful. Everybody who spoke was really, really heartfelt. It was terrific. In general, it was just a great year. I felt like every day we were sending more and more and more and more to Kim to post, positive things that were happening, championships that kids were winning, robotics updates, and, we reinstituted some of our student recognition, programming, like honor rolls and things like that. And I really hope that those things are something that not only caught some fire this year, but lead to success in the years to come as well. I also have a copy of the 2025 yearbook. It was noted by the yearbook teacher, Ms. Hamilton, that for the first time, they literally sold every single copy of the yearbook. So this is the one that she needs for her classroom library to be used as an example. So I'm going to need this back so I can get back to Mrs. Hamilton. But again, even yearbook sales were terrific this year. So I'm super proud of the 24-25 school year, and we built on a lot of things, and I'm excited for the future.
So one question I have, I think it was your report, talked about one of the troubles, or not troubles, but things that are still being worked on is student technology. I assume it's like cell phones or whatever. Is that something that-
I think that might have been alluded to in the discipline report,
Okay.
but it's still something that we have a building-wide policy about. When we make sure that is happening consistently from one classroom to another, it's actually a pretty effective policy. It is going to have to be different for next year because of the implementation of the law, the bell-to-bell law. The previous policy was basically during academic time, students could not have their devices out, they couldn't have wireless headphones. But next year, even during lunches, hallways, things like that.
Yeah, have you thought about how that's being implemented? Because I've already gotten questions like, are they taking phones at the beginning of the day? Like how? I have no idea how.
Yeah, honestly, my hope is that there's maybe a foolish hope, but I was hoping there'd be a little bit more guidance along that line. Otherwise, it might be one of those situations where we figure it out. I don't have any plan right now to collect phones as kids are walking into the building. But it may be an extension of the policy that we have right now, where if you see it, it doesn't matter where or when it is, it gets confiscated and we go through that policy. A number of us went to the New Hampshire Association of School Principals annual conference right at the end of June. That was sort of a topic of conversation in a couple of the groups that I made sure to get into because I was hoping there would be a little bit more. Other areas have already implemented, other states have implemented similar laws before. But it does seem like there's a significant level of local control in terms of the details and how to make it work out. The technology aspects of collecting phones and you're having them in this bags that districts can buy. There's a big business right now that is going to start booming in the state of New Hampshire because those things are not cheap. So if we went to that level, it's going to be a big bill, like thousands and thousands, just for the high school specifically. There was a school that I think actually might be Concord that was starting to implement the use of some of these bags, and literally a kid would be walking, or no, it was out of state. Vanessa Sandal sent me a video, or it had been on the news somewhere. But as kids walked out of the building, there was a magnet. Like when you go to TJ Maxx or something like that, you're buying something, they take the magnet off of the clothes so that way they know you're not getting out with it. You had to go into the main office area to basically unlock your phone bag and get your phone out at the end of the day. Thousands of dollars. So we don't have a definitive plan right now. Again, I wanted to make sure that that actually shook out, and I want to see the actual language that is put into the law, because we'll follow it, but if it's local control, we're going to have to figure it out, and if there's a financial impact, I'll let you know.
I believe they're still negotiating the details on that bill, and hopefully with some clarity on it. At this point, we have policies and procedures in place, particularly at the middle school and the high school, but we'll continue to follow until we get clarity.
The interesting thing for me is if it's a law, when we confiscate a kid's phone, do we fill out a safe schools report for an illegal activity on our school grounds?
Yeah, and I also think you're gonna get pushback from parents who, some of them are very much in favor, but some of them are not in favor of this. And we don't have a choice.
Correct. And that's the only answer that we'll be able to give.
And I also think there'll be a burden on office staff who now have to answer every call about, hey, I need Jimmy to leave early today for a dentist appointment,
Yeah.
doctor's appointment, or I need to talk to him because I need an answer to this question now.
Yeah.
And those are things that they might have texted in the middle of the day during lunch or non-academic
Yeah.
period. And that's not happening.
For the most part, those are things that schools handle before cell phones. So it's, we can manage that. We can figure out a way to, to bear that additional
That's gonna
burden.
go back.
Sure. It's just, again, it would be nice if there was a little bit of, so if you do have that, then these are the steps that you follow. It's going to be a wild ride if it's that open to interpretation.
I'm not hopeful that we're gonna get any details and follow-up. It's gonna be left up to us to decide as to how to manage it, put policies in place, and it's gonna be left up to us to police it. And
Yeah.
we're gonna be dealing with parents that are not happy about it because of a law that passed.
But
And what we currently have
I'll
is
just speak for
working.
myself personally, I'm not in favor of funding any unfunded mandates either. So we're not spending money on fancy technology to keep somebody's phone safe. We weren't funded for that. If they can give us funding for it, it's fine, but they're making up laws up without any funding to implement them, so.
First time in history. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thanks very much, everybody.
All right, we are at the year-end discipline report, so we'll start with BES again.
Hi everyone, the report is in there. Happy to take any questions, but we had a really good year and hopefully to keep trending downward with our behavior girls.
So many pages.
I try to keep mine short.
I had a question though. I think it was BES.
We have to get through Mr. Finch's
Yeah.
report in order to get to yours.
Oh, that's the kidding by somebody.
Oh.
I think it was BES that saw a higher number of incidents in April and May of this year compared to last year, whereas the trends have been going down.
Yep.
But that was kind of an outlier, and I didn't know if there was any.
Yeah, we talked about that too, and wondering if it was just kind of end of the year, they kind of forgot some of the rules. But we noticed it and we addressed it in not staff meeting, well, those two, but in our assemblies at the end of the year, in those monthly assemblies, to try to set a goal to keep those low. But we did notice that also.
We're gonna try to set goals with grade levels next year and just make them more specific. As the school level, I think, gets too, it's just too vague and there's not enough ownership of it. I mean, the kids bought into what we were doing this year and took pride in what they were doing and decreasing referrals, but obviously that didn't carry through to the end of the year, so.
Grade 3. They, yeah, I don't,
Historically, they're just a really good group. If you watch if you trend their
Yeah.
trend, yeah, it's a really good group. And
I'm just wondering what we can learn from them, or, because second grade, I mean, if you looked at second grade, you can see it's low there
Yeah.
too. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
you're
low.
right. It's so disproportionately low.
Is it a smaller class?
Yeah.
a little bit smaller, so they're in a group of 3 this year instead of 4. So a little bit of a smaller class, so proportionally it's a bit smaller, but they do really have great
But I mean-
behavior.
It's a smaller class, but the class sizes are the same, right? Because
Right.
There's only 3.
Right.
Right, there's only 3 of them.
I mean, the number of frequency of incidents, even taking percentages out, is hugely lower. I don't know how else to.
Yeah, and at those monthly assemblies, we kind of use them as an example too. You know, we had set the goal, and sometimes their goal, they had 1 the month before. And so you're like, 0, which is really hard to say. Super low.
I think you go through cycles too. I mean, I don't credit that all to us, right? They're a nice group of kids. They've been brought up that way. And you go through cycles where you also have tough classes, as you know, where the number of referrals is disproportionately high, so.
Right.
Other questions?
Well, it's nice to see the decrease, so I think that's a credit overall to what you all are doing across the board. 16%.
Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Canterbury Elementary.
So we had significantly less students because we didn't have 5th grade this year. So we do have less overall referrals, but I'm really attributing it more to that than anything else. So pretty much we're about the same as we were at this point last year. If you look at grade levels, 1st grade is our highest, and we've kind of noticed over the last couple of years that no matter what group it is, 1st grade tends to be the highest. I don't know if it's just the developmental age or the things that they're sort of testing out on the playground, but it always kind of seems to be that year that a lot of growing and learning happens. And then they go up to 2nd grade and they've held on to some of those skills. 2nd grade was our largest class. It was over double the size of 4th grade, just to give you some perspective as far as comparing grade levels. Any questions?
So because you mentioned 2nd grade, and I could have missed the comparison, but how was last year's 1st grade compared to this year's 2nd grade?
So I would have to pull that up to
Yeah.
actually look. And we actually grew that class size a little bit this year. We had a couple of kids who either moved in or stayed back.
Yeah.
So they were a bigger size than they were last year. But they definitely did better overall. As far as specific numbers, I'd have to look for you.
Well, I was more looking, for trend lines. So like, what are we, like how are we, and maybe this is the question, how are we addressing what you're noticing for essentially 1st and 2nd grade? 'Cause though I don't know if I have comparison data by grade.
Yeah.
kindergarten that's lower, at least this year, and then kind of a spike in first and second.
Yeah, so I actually chose not to put in comparison data by grade from year to year because the class sizes varied so much from year to year. And so comparing them would be kind of fruitless. But I can say that we address that through our Tier 1 program. So they all have access to the second step lessons, which are delivered by the guidance counselor in guidance classes. But she also tailors what they need based on what the teachers are reporting that the class needs and based on Swiss data. So if we're starting to see, for example, first graders being really hands-on on the playground, she'll put something into the guidance class, or she'll go outside and work with them to help them problem solve so that they can internalize the right way to approach those situations. So that would be a Tier 1 way of addressing it.
So I guess what I'm asking is, right now, I can't tell over time based on this. I don't know if second grade had 51 number of referrals. I can't look back and go, how many did grade 1 have? And so what's the impact?
Right.
And I don't know why, can you say more about why class size? Because I'm not trying to compare second to second. I'm trying to,
You're looking at trends
I'm
year to
looking
year.
at
This group of
trends.
kids over time.
Or I'm following
Right,
a cohort
right.
group, so
And I didn't do that because the cohort changed so much. Like a 10 or 15% change in the cohort size is going to impact that enough at our small site. That's what I'm telling you.
Another thing about that particular first to second, they go from 2 classrooms to all being in one together, which may affect things as
Thank you for
well.
bringing that up.
But
Yes, that's a really good point.
So I agree. I guess what I'm trying to say is that that is information I would like to see because then we can look at, or I'm assuming you're doing it behind the scenes, but I mean, yes, my kid's going to Canterbury, so I understand those dynamics. But those are things we want to look at, like because I don't know. I'm just saying it's hard, and I know the numbers are smaller.
It's so small that I would rather compare a kid to themselves at this point last year. Like I'll look at a kiddo that's struggling and go, okay, where were they at last year? Ooh, we're up. Let's look at how we can support them. But usually I do put the grade level comparison from year to year. I made that choice just because it makes it a challenge to compare. We went from about 106 last year to only 90 this year. And when you're talking about a small setting, that's a huge percentage change, and therefore a big change in all your reports.
Yes.
But if you want additional info, I'm happy to get it.
I guess I'm just, this is just me. I'm just saying, if I'm gonna look at things year to year, like, so if we went from 106 to 90, at least give or take 10 of those kids would have been without the 5th grade. So we're talking about 8 kids, give or take. I don't know.
Well, we had 16 go up to the middle school.
Okay, so then that actually accounts for,
Yeah, and then we had a couple of like move-ins, move-outs.
Is what you're interested in just the cohort data? Like
Yes.
mostly just following that cohort?
that's exactly what I'm interested in.
Is that something that we can get?
Yeah, absolutely.
Just so, and again, it's more because I think it also tells a story, right? So as we're looking at, do we need 2, do we need 3 grades? I just think it gives us a picture of, like, all kids. Now, interestingly, and this could be wrong, we have 1 3rd grade right now, right? So, and how many 2nd grades did we have last year?
1 2nd grade. We have 1 3rd grade. We want to keep 1 3rd grade. We have a couple of kids who won't be in that cohort moving out because of move-outs.
I guess my preference, doesn't mean it's anyone else's, is that we.
Can I phrase it a different way?
Yeah.
I mean, one question I would have is the work that we're putting in, especially at the elementary school levels, both schools, being validated by the data? And I don't know, like I can see yearly, like these are the snapshot of this year, the snapshot of next year. But and I get that the lower numbers make percentages obviously much greater.
Mhm.
But are we validating the work we put in as far as a decrease in, say, the number of referrals?
Well, and I think that the next section actually shows that better, the one with the table graph, because you can compare 23-24 and 24-25 a little bit differently. For example, if you look at the students with 40 or more, this year we didn't have anybody with that many. And I know that that student who did have that the year before is still at CES. And so that's showing progress for that student who received Tier 3 support. And if you look at 23-24, the percent of total referrals that had 10 or more was over half, 52%, whereas this year it was only 38%. So to me, that's the kind of comparison data I thought would be helpful.
Rather
It
than
doesn't
the
show
grade
you,
by grade.
yeah, it doesn't show you grade level cohorts, but we're small enough that I'm showing you the school. There's 90 students in the K-4 this year. And that's showing those shifts in the positive direction. Especially given that those are the students who tend to make up a high percentage of our referrals in the first place. We have a lot of students who have 0 or 1 the whole year. But I'm happy to get cohort data still, if you'd like. It's no problem.
For me, that's one way to look at the data. I think there's multiple ways to look at data. So,
And we do that via our at-risk team. We meet every week and we discuss any students who are popping up on our radar so that we can provide support. It tends to be the students who are receiving Tier 3 support anyway, but we have students who do pop into that if they're going through a hard time or there's something going on. But most of the time, we're dealing with individual data and
This is a
students.
question I think for both elementary schools I think I'm more interested in, but what is ballparking the percentage of referrals that take place outside of the classroom, like at recess or lunch versus in the classroom? Because from the outside looking in, I assume that a lot of this is happening outside the actual, math class or whatever. It's happening at recess or lunchtime or something like that.
For us, a lot of it is recess because it's less structured and the students tend to, that's when they have a disagreement over a game or something like that. But classroom is also tends to be high because that's where they spend most of their day.
So it's not like 90% outside of the classroom.
I'm pulling it up. It's really slow, but I should be able to give you that.
I guess what I was getting at was, if we were seeing more referrals outside of the classroom, would that make us lean towards looking at new ways to, like you said, you had someone meeting with students, might be outside of recess time, to help them with disputes and disagreements and things like that.
Absolutely. So
Things like that to help reduce those numbers.
yeah, one example that comes right to mind is when we installed the Gaga pit. We made sure that the students learned that she's like, what is that?
No, I know because
I can see all kinds of arguments.
Right, so we had every single class learned the proper rules of the game and practiced with the PE teacher before they were ever allowed to play it at recess. We post rules and teach the rules to the students so they know exactly how and how not to play. And then every single recess, there's a referee, a teacher who is running the game. It is never unsupervised because it's just one of those games that there'll be problems if there isn't adult support. But I just quickly pulled up our referrals by location. And classroom is our top with 36%. Again, that makes sense. That's where they spend most of their day. And classroom incorporates not just their first grade or second grade classroom, but also art, music, PE, special education, any of those classroom spaces. And then our second one is playground with almost 35%.
We're 52% in the classroom. That does not include specials.
It does not, you said?
Yeah, specials are a very small percentage. 19% of the playground. We do look at that data though, looking at our at-risk meeting.
Yeah, I just assumed that the
Look at
playground was a higher percentage, but it makes sense.
It's
You're saying
it's
They're
the top,
less, they're out there less time.
one of the top two for us. And I know both schools do this. We have PBIS and we teach the students at the beginning of the year, but we reinforce throughout the year the proper behavior and expectations in all areas of the building. And we follow responsive classroom where you teach, model, and practice. So we don't assume they remember from last year what the rules on the playground are. We take them out, we discuss it, we have someone model the right way to go down the slide. All of those pieces are a tier 1 support that all students get to set them up for success moving forward.
And I think, just so you know where my questioning comes from, because I'm feeling I need to explain.
Oh, it's okay.
Prior to the adoption of Swiss at CES and the requirement for it, pre-U, we would get reports that had in my opinion, very little information. And so I just want to make sure that we provide similar information that we're expecting from BES. And so I'm not doing it to question
Oh, yeah, no,
why,
that's fine.
but I think, because there's some questions I'm not asking because it potentially could identify a student. And so all I have to go on is total number of referrals. I don't know, and I can't track it over time. So then I'm, in terms of by grade. So I
Right.
feel limited, and I just, makes me have questions about it, and I want to make sure if there are things we have to put in place, we're seeing it.
Yeah, and I'm happy to share whatever you'd like. It's just with that asterisk, because I was thinking about the 4th graders. We had 9 of them that we just promoted up to BMS. And I was looking at who I had as kindergarten, because this was the first class that went through all the way with me. So they came as kindergartners, and only a handful of them were there the whole time. So we've had different kids in and out during that time. And so if we followed them even for a few years, the number of children and who was there, it may be 8 this year and 8 next year, but there's a difference of 3 children.
Yeah.
Those percentages are really,
Yeah.
they're interesting. So it's really with a big asterisk next to it that I would share that. But I'm happy to share any information. I do know when I was at BES for 3 years as the assistant principal, we all met as assistant principals to calibrate and be on the same page with our documentation, what we would call some support and then you're back to class versus what we would call, okay, this is a Swiss, this is a behavioral incident that needs documentation and maybe a consequence. And that way we were on the same page for consistency for these reports. And then when I came to CES, I am the Swiss facilitator for the district. So I was like, well, my school's got to have Swiss. And, in all honesty, Ben will tease me like, wow, the numbers went way up. Well, we're documenting. We're documenting. And it's not like we have 188 fights or something, but
No.
it is situations where and it is me, am responding and supporting a student to get back on track behaviorally because they are refusing to do their work or whatever it may be. And I'm sure that those numbers are pretty similar to what they always have been. It's just they're being documented
Correct.
and addressed on a tier 1 level.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, BMS.
How are you?
No.
I'd like to take a long time because it's so nice and cool in here. And I was confident with a long sleeve shirt, which I'm not so confident. So I just want to thank a few people that, like all of our schools, really impact our student behavior. And that are dealing with student discipline and behavior. Mrs. Blake and Mrs. LaFlamme, to the elementary school's point, who do take the data in weekly meetings and develop lessons based on, like emerging concerns. So that's something, they are tireless, so they're great. This is Alan, our school assistant program counselor, Mr. Jones, our school psychologist. Mrs. Abbott will be leaving us, she's our social worker. Mr. Roberts and Mrs. Clement, our ABLE program, very busy, great support. Ms. Kutu, who runs our student support center. We work with JPPOs and DCYF. Mrs. Ashy is a really important part, believe it or not, of our student behavior and discipline. She is a great filter, and she really works with the team to get kids back on track, meeting their needs. We have outside agencies. Mrs. Neal, our board certified behavior analyst, has been a really big help. A real big help this year has been our school resource officer, Steve Colcord. He'll be leaving us, unfortunately. When he walks in the building, the kids take notice, right? So, really all certified staff and our support staff team. And Erin and I work closely together, so I'm appreciative of that. I would just say, before you ask any questions, this year really wasn't unlike others regarding student behavior and discipline. It may have felt that way. Our data was up 10%. We gained 30 to 35 kids this year through move-ins, through Canterbury and those types of things. That's a class and a half of kids. So can I say that I can't say that, but you've got a lot more people in the building. And, the many factors we all know about surrounding, contributions to that, from family and home environments, varying classroom management skills and strategies. I find that we have certain grade level teachers who are stronger, I would say at that. And I would say, when I look at that data and I see that grade level, regardless of some of those other factors, move into this grade level, and you see some of those numbers go down, that's a really strong set of teachers. We have new teachers who aren't as skilled, some of those classroom management strategies. Changes in staff, increases in student enrollment, student attendance, social media. We spend a lot of time with social media and a lot of those challenges. Advances in technology. We have a lot of kids who are married to their technology, and we spend a lot of time with that. Increasing mental health needs, ranges in social and emotional development. So we all know that those are some of the factors. I did include in this year's report what I include each year, really the top 3 behaviors that were recorded. You have some of those frequency numbers per grade level, which is kind of interesting. If you look at the grade level, I found the outlier, Mr. Embry, really, it was interesting between grades 6 and 7 this year. So that's 6th grade, and when you look in the 7th grade, you're talking like 100 more referrals. There's a lot of other factors. At our school, staff and support staff have the ability to report electronically. So we get those reports. Erin and I look at them and make sure we can use them and send them along to make sure parents are clear about what the behavior is. But certainly the physical aggression and physical contact was really notable this year. When I wrote incidents of physical aggression and physical contact, a slight increase compared to 20, it comprised 17.8% of the data. We had one student in Mrs. Prescott's class, in the life skills class. That student alone was like 70 reports. It's not intentional. These are some of his challenges, and so, but staff reports that, and this data is useful when we go to meetings, or when we use outside resources to help students with their behavior. So I am interested, I really enjoy looking at the data. It's really interesting to me. As we go through we do the same thing as the other schools do. We meet with kids at the beginning of the year, we lay it out, we model it, we teach it. When we see spikes in behavior, we meet with kids, we have them all in the same place at lunch. Let them get their lunch, and all right, everybody, feel free to eat your lunch while I'm talking. So we review concerns, we challenge students to see some improvement in that. And we do try to do that per trimester to, the teachers call it Tim Talk. So I meet with the kids, I say, teachers, you're welcome to stay or you can take a break. So we meet with students frequently. Our school counselors are busy. They're really busy, and all the other support staff. But we have a great group, and I'm grateful for all of their work. So I'd be happy to try to answer any questions you might have.
How do we, I just don't know what we do, how do you handle in-school suspensions? Where do they go?
I send them down there and I say, don't come out till tomorrow.
Okay. Where do you send them?
To our student support center. That's a fair question. So that's a great resource. It's right off of our Able Room. If you've not been to our Able Room, it's a really cool space. We have some reset rooms in there for some of our students with more significant needs. And then our support center, when we're not reassigning her somewhere else, when we're short, it can be used for a lot of different things. It can be another workspace. It can be for ISS, which we would prefer to assign to let a kid group. It can be for half a day. It can be for a full day. It can be for multiple days. We try to keep kids in the building. That's our goal, and when we have enough resources, we do that.
Because in-school suspension was up.
Yep.
And out-of-school suspension was up.
Yep. We have a few kids that really struggle, and that because of their behaviors, with the kind of Rolodexing a few requires that they be put out, and other things like things that are illegal. If somebody gets in a flat-out fight, they're going to get out of school suspended. We try to be consistent with our handbook with that. Sure.
Questions?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Belmont High School.
So Ms. Sandville is not feeling well today, so I'm going to be kind of representing in her stead. So she put a nice summary together here for you. Some of the data that was really interesting to me had to do with what you see in that maturity development in the through the 4 years, with grades 9 and 10 representing a huge majority of the referrals that we had in the 24-25 school year, and it really tapers off fast in that junior year and senior year. The other interesting thing is if you look at, I believe it's table 7. Yes. The number of referrals, or the rate of referrals per 100 students dropped again versus the last couple of years. If you eliminate those COVID years where the students weren't even in the building, it was the lowest referral rate that we've had in the last almost 10 years. And interestingly enough, the number of referrals that were recorded as major referrals were pretty consistent over the last 4 years. So I think we have some work to do in terms of some of the the classroom response, in terms of what's coming the office's way. But if you also take that information and match it up with the fact that 85% of our student population had either 1 or 0 referrals for the entire school year. As Tim was alluding to, you're looking at a population of students who represent the majority of the referrals that accumulate through the year. It was 2.3 or so number of our percentage of our students had 6 or more total referrals. And if you look at some of those 3-tier response models, those students who are getting tier 1 responses and who are getting the vast majority of your time, that's really right around where the percentage is supposed to be. And then you break it down, there's a cohort of students that had 2 or 2 to 5 responses, and then again 85% had 1 or 0 for the school year. So the population breakdown matches what your goals are for for a response intervention, a responsive intervention like that. As Tim was alluding to, it is not Vanessa and I doing this. There's a team that responds to it, whether from the classroom level of responses, our paraeducators, all the way up through our at-risk team that meets every Tuesday morning to discuss students whose numbers are starting to kind of bulk up, or students who we know that there's something kind of brewing in their personal lives that we want to be proactive rather than reactive and try to put them in some supportive hands. So I'm happy to answer any questions that might come up. Seeing none? Thanks very much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next on the agenda is the Huot end of year report, and that information is in the packet.
As you can see, we have great things going on at the Huot every year.
Michael, is there do you know if there's a long-term enrollment plan for the Huot, as far as, like, I noticed that the numbers overall look like they've gone up since 22, 23. I know, like, some programs they've even added a course because the requests were high. Like, I think plumbing and heating, they even mentioned it in here that teacher took on an additional course based on numbers. Are they, like, I mean, they are capping numbers on courses, but how are they determining how big to grow or not grow? Is it based on, can they hire teachers, or is it more?
It usually does depend on, particularly around course interest as well as the staff that could teach it. So if they see an increase in the interest in a specific course, then they would hire additional staff to cover, or that staff member would take on another course. But I'm not aware of any study that they've done, and I sit on the board for them. That's a really good question, because particularly with a bill that's being still discussed at this point, which is sort of open enrollment for CTE centers across the state, any student in the state could attend. That's going to be very challenging to try and figure out. But I don't know of a long-range enrollment projection that they have done.
Yeah, I mean, I know that there's a lot of, building work, infrastructure work, but again, they can only support so many students, I assume.
Right.
Any questions for Michael on the Huot report? All right, next up is a Chromebook bid award and lease approval.
Information about the Chromebook bids were included in your packet. We received 4 companies sent 5 different bids. The recommendation is to go with Gov Connection.
So I'm just curious, this will sound, should we always go with the lowest bid? I know why we would, I'm just saying, like, was there anything, let me ask it differently. Was there anything in the bids, aside from price, that we should consider?
It was the same piece of equipment in all,
So it's not like they're telling us,
Same model, same.
same model, yeah,
Same
we were very
specs.
specific about the model and what needs to be included, so they all bid the same model.
got it. And is this where we always?
Wally Computer has come in as the lowest bidder the last few years. Gov Connection came in lowest this year.
So it's just straight equipment? It's
Yep.
not like they're,
What's the difference between the two CDW?
So one they said that was an unbundled, so they just like would send them all 200, and the other they would bundle in groups of 10 for us. So it cost more to bundle them.
okay.
That was just how they submitted their proposals.
And then, do we ask for financing too?
We have asked for financing in the past, but we typically have found that their financing is higher. One did propose financing for us, but it was a higher rate than what we've been able to get through First American the last few years.
All right, I'll make a motion to award the Chromebook bid to Gov Connection in the amount of $80,089.60. Award of financing to First American for $28,262.82 per year for 3 years.
Second.
Further questions? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Get to leave.
get a chance to cool down.
Yeah.
We got
See,
big
they
water,
have
we
budget
just sent somebody to check on you in a little while.
Just want to make a budget discussion with them, yeah, they're like, they don't care about the budget.
Anybody want to leave the VHS yearbook and flip through it later? I can just grab it from Michael at some point.
Yeah.
I'll put it in the SE.
Okay, great, thanks.
Take a look at it.
Yeah.
All right, this is the administrative report.
So currently in the process of getting books closed, trying to get all of that stuff ready.
You skipped P-card rebates.
No, I'm
No,
not,
update.
Oh,
on the update A.
okay, sorry. I was like the
Wait.
blow up.
What's that? Just her update.
So it's end of year and getting ready to close the books. I will advise the board that I have been given notice that the June 30th, 2026 fiscal year will be the last year that our current auditors will be doing audits. So I'm going to be looking for auditors, and it's going to be tough, but we'll have to do something, and that's going to impact the 26-27 budget.
Hold on. So
I'm sorry, 27-28 budget.
what's going to be tough? That there's-
Finding an auditor.
There's just not that many. of them.
There's not that many who do schools or government
And
accounting.
then,
And the ones that have, there typically have been 5 in the state, and Roberge Company is getting out. And he has reached out to some other auditing firms that he knows of, and they're not taking new clients. So,
It's,
so the financial impact is whoever we find is going to be more expensive.
correct,
Yes.
right.
I just went out to RFP for my nonprofit and we got one bid.
Yeah.
Because they're just not, and it was more expensive
Of
than
course.
anticipated. So I can't imagine what we're gonna be dealing with.
Yeah, we've been with this firm for a long time, and the price has not gone up very much over the years.
Yeah, so, but they're trying, they've tried at least. They're trying
He's
to
reached
assist.
out to others, and he's been told that they're not taking new clients. I have heard of one auditing firm that might take additional clients, and I have to reach out to them. But
Anything else? Preliminary budget discussion. You don't have everything in the packet about that, right?
No, I did not get the calendar done yet. I know Jim O'Shaughnessy's wondering.
Yeah. So this is really when we start kicking off the budget discussion, because we start developing our budget this summer. The budget that I would bring forward as a recommendation for the board. I would appreciate this year to sort of get a temperature read on the board as to where you're thinking when it comes to the budget, and we're gonna develop the default budget first this year. We're gonna do that this summer, so that we have an idea as to where the default is for when I'm putting together the recommended budget to bring forward to the board. Where in the past, we've always done the proposed operating budget and then do the default. I want to know where we are with the default and then get an understanding from the board as to where do you want to be in the vicinity of that default. Last year, we actually did a round robin as to where people wanted to be to sort of move the discussion along. I'm not sure if the board is interested in having that type of round robin, but I think that it's important to get a general understanding as to where the board's sitting with coming into the beginning of the budget development process. I would anticipate this will be a challenging budget year, particularly with some of the financial constraints that families are feeling this year and into next year and so forth. The economic future is not really all that bright. So I want to keep that in mind as we're putting together our budget, but also making sure that we're providing what our students and staff need in order to be successful in the classroom. So open discussion or thoughts on where board members are sitting with the budget?
I'm happy to start, and I can jump on after. I mean, I just feel that we start out a flat budget. That's our goal. But at that point, you could also say, by doing that, we're looking at not being able to do this or that. And we have those discussions like, can you stomach it or not? Or do we go up from there? But that's just one person's opinion.
Others?
I kind of agree with Sean. If you look at other school districts around the state, there's been pretty good turmoil going around with their budgets passing. Like you probably saw Manchester and Conway. That's a hot mess. We don't want to be in that situation.
That's my concern. I don't want to be in a situation where we get a significant cut that we have no, like if you look at your condos and your,
Yeah.
Merrimack Valley.
So the challenge with that is you could come in with a proposed operating budget below the default. And
Correct.
you still
You can
could have
still-
a group come in and
Correct.
cut it, but thanks for that.
And I think we should be
Yeah.
a lot tighter this year.
I will say, which is not your question, but I was really pleased to see, in comparison to the budgets that were voted down, people were putting forth like a 5 and 6% increase in a budget, and ours was significantly lower. I don't remember off the top of my head.
0.9.
0.9. So I was pleased with that. However, tax impact, and I'm actually worried about tax impact again. I mean, I am every year, but particularly depending on what we don't know about federal monies and state monies. I don't know if that helps you
It does.
at all, but
I agree with trying to keep it as low as possible, but while keeping that in mind, keeping the sense that we don't want to lose staff for fear that something might be cut, or I don't want to be in a position where other schools have been in where they're losing staff because they're fearful that their job might be no longer there.
I would agree. I think that, yes, while obviously the goal, especially given uncertain economic turmoil, keeping it as low as possible, but I, at the same time, don't want to risk the idea of somebody saying, well, by keeping this budget low, my job is in jeopardy or something like that, so.
Yeah, we definitely want to avoid that.
And I would not want to obviously cut, things that students are, that's,
I agree.
so. Keep it as low as possible while maintaining a good environment for everyone involved.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll just, like, the budget cuts and cone, talking about like cutting sports, like no more
Right.
sports. Like, I want to have as responsible a budget as possible. I prefer to start at 0, like always. But I don't want to be a part of a school district that doesn't have co-curriculars or sports. Like, I get it that we could spread ourselves too thin and it's hard to offer every sport under the sun. I get that. But we still have to be able to offer things that kids want to take part in. I feel like, I wasn't here at the last meeting, but I thought like, from an athletics point of view, like the numbers are as high as they've ever been. Like, why would we want to take that away from kids? So, like, yeah, I don't want to increase the athletics budget 10%, but I don't want to be cutting like co-curriculars and athletics at the sake of just cutting the budget. Like, we still want to have an attractive school district. And
It should be easy enough, right?
Yeah.
It's helpful, thank you.
And I guess I would also add that, like, I don't want people fearing for their job. I mean, I deal with that all the time. I don't want people having to deal with that. But I also feel like we owe it to the taxpayers and to ourselves that every time there's a vacancy, we just determine whether we need that position or not. Do we need it? Because if we are at some point going to say, hey, our numbers are going down, we can't have the same staffing levels, we should be doing it through attrition, not by cutting people. Like, I don't want to deal with that. No, that's not right. Maybe that there are no circumstances that bring that up, but I think we should be looking at that rather than looking at cutting existing seated positions.
So you brought up an interesting point there, numbers going down. Do you mean enrollment numbers?
Yeah, overall enrollment.
Are enrollment numbers going down?
Not
Over the-
significantly.
Over the last, no, not
Oh,
significantly,
yeah.
but they
Year to
over
year,
a
not-
10-year period, they
Correct.
go down every year.
Correct,
Not significantly,
right.
they go down. Not like we could, let's eliminate this class because we dropped 50 kids in 5th grade. Like, that's not what's happening. It's like 3 here, 4 here.
Again, it's just something that I kind of want, and we don't have any definitive numbers, but with the current proposed development in Canterbury, I also know that the Canterbury numbers are not going down. I think Canterbury is
And they
going
may,
up.
if everything goes through, they may go up significantly.
Yeah. Because I don't think at this point in Canterbury there is a class under 20 kids, which I don't know when the last time that happened. So I don't know. I think that's just why I asked that question. I just wanted to.
Yeah, I would think that area, if it expands and there's housing in that area, specifically right off of 93, we definitely will see an impact at CES, which increases our overall enrollment numbers for the district. Keep an eye on that, for sure.
CES and potentially, depending on, it doesn't necessarily have to be elementary school kids. that are in it.
Absolutely.
Oh, it would impact some.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you that the new housing that's been built in Belmont, my understanding is it hasn't been families or school-age families as much as it's been Massachusetts folks moving up to the Lakes region, and it's almost like seasonal housing and rentals and stuff. I don't think that would happen in Canterbury. I think that's more,
Not based
Tradition.
on what they're,
Not based on how they're presenting it.
Right.
But, again, I don't know for sure. Everything is There's nothing that's definitive just yet.
Well, that's very helpful, so thanks, everybody.
We have P-card rebate in our packet.
This is an annual occurrence that I bring to the board, based on the fact that we use, and we're part of the Illinois ASBO P-card program through the Bank of Montreal. We get a percentage back based on what we use. And typically the board has put this into the Technology Special Revenue Fund. It is lower this year by about almost $3,000. And that's because more and more companies are now starting to charge fees to pay with a credit card. And if we have to pay fees, we don't use the credit card, they can wait for a check. So just bring these back to you for your consideration and action.
Make a motion to authorize P-card rebate funds be placed in the Technology Special Revenue Fund.
Second.
Motion a second. Quick question. When you say a check, like if I want to say I have a P-card and I want to purchase something for my classroom, I don't know.
You have a purchase order and it's approved.
How does that process work for a check versus a P-card?
So if it was, if it was going to be a check, if you wanted to go to Walmart,
Yeah.
if they were going to charge you a fee to use the credit card, you wouldn't be able to use the credit card there. So, and you would have to order online through Walmart, and then they'd have to wait for a check. But I'm talking about bigger
When they say wait
companies,
for a
not
check,
local.
who's ordering? Is it you that's ordering it, or is it the teacher?
So we send purchase orders out. So if we're ordering something from Staples, we'll send a purchase order or we'll order online. We typically use the P card, but if not, then we would just, when the order comes in, they'd invoice us, we'd send a check.
But the P card is a credit card.
It is a
That's
credit
what we're
card.
talking about,
Yes,
so-
it is a credit card.
Like I know, like
It's a
at the
MasterCard.
university, like they're cutting down on who can use the P card, but there's a purchasing system that people use.
Mhm.
We don't have that, do we?
Yeah. They have to submit an order request form, and then once it's approved, then they have the authority to use the credit card, whoever is requesting. Like you may not have a credit card.
Yeah.
But somebody in your team would have one. So you would say to Michelle, I'm authorized to make this purchase, can you use your credit card for it?
Yeah, I was just curious on that.
Yeah, they can't just take the card out and go buy things.
Yeah.
It gets cut up.
Okay.
I believe that.
It has been.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. On the horizon. So, go ahead.
Sorry, the only thing that I would ask is that the select board member from Canterbury be added for the times we're in Canterbury, or the first meeting of the month when we're in Canterbury.
So I'm fine with that, but what are we asking for?
Just to put them on the agenda for like questions, comments, anything like that.
And have we offered that to Belmont too?
So
I know why Canterbury's, that really
Okay,
wasn't
I was
good.
gonna say, because I don't know if this was like offered to Canterbury so much as Canterbury made the decision. Because they do have representation on the select board at all. So they have representation on, a select board representative at all elected committees. So like there's a select board member who's appointed to the planning board, there's a select board member who's appointed to the historic district committee. But there's not one for like the zoning board because they are not elected. Does that make sense?
I guess what I am fine with it, but I think that this will sound, because the select board someone from the select board wants to attend our meeting.
Be on the
Doesn't-
agenda.
Well, that's my question. Attending the meeting and being on the agenda are two different things. Right? Because anyone from Canterbury can attend the meetings. And I'm not trying to, are we saying that we want, as a board, the Canterbury select person to come to be an agenda item on our meetings?
We can decide that. He had asked.
Okay, no, I'm just saying, because if we're gonna do that, I do feel like if we make that decision, then I think we should offer the same thing to Belmont.
I'm not opposed to that.
And then what are we, I think I get stuck with what's the ask to be on the agenda, like. I'm just surfacing this stuff, I'm not
That's fine.
saying one way or the other, I'm just
We
saying.
we can leave it off, and if that's the preference, that's fine, but.
Like, let's talk about a process maybe.
Okay.
About if the select board wants the representative to discuss something with the board as an agenda item, then they reach out and we talk about adding that person to the agenda. So if the select board says, we would like for you, Calvin, to talk to the board about this item, then there's a purpose of the agenda item.
Okay.
And we would need to know, are they looking for action? Is it just information? So I think that would be a better process.
Okay.
compared
Is it
to
the
us.
first meeting of every month or the first meeting of every?
meeting of every other month, so the months that we're in January will be the first meeting of that month. So August, October.
And I guess that you said it way better than I was trying to surface, like, but what's the point? And,
Point is to try and keep a pulse on the two and make sure that
right,
we're
no, I know.
communicating.
But if we're gonna do an agenda, like, what's the?
I think it's a great idea, and the Belmont Board of Selectmen can do the same thing. I mean, that's always an open invitation. So if the Board of Selectmen in either town have an item that they want to discuss with the school board, it's usually the town administrator that would reach out to me and say, we have an item from the select board that we want to talk about with the board, and then we would put it on the agenda and discuss it either as action or as for information.
Okay.
Or for future action, or it might be. So I think that's probably the better process, because it would give a purpose
Sounds good.
to the seat at the table.
So I guess that makes sense to me, and obviously, if we're meeting ahead of time about the agenda, it makes perfect sense to add it that time. I guess I would ask that you reach out to Alicia or whoever and say, just want to make sure you understand that this is something that we're doing with Canterbury. Want to make sure the offer is there for you. This is our process for Canterbury. We'd like to mimic that process for Belmont. If you have an agenda item, please let us know. I mean, like you said, it's always an open option, but it wouldn't hurt to reiterate it, especially now that we get closer to our budget season too.
No, I think it's important because the Belmont Board of Selectmen talk about the school district regularly without notification of the district. So I think that's important to make sure that those lines of communication are open.
I do just want to reiterate that we didn't just offer this to Canterbury. It's not like this was initiated by us. This was Canterbury that's it. Okay.
Right.
I'm just trying to head off any
No, that's totally fine. Honestly, I would
town stuff.
I would welcome it. Not town stuff.
Yeah.
A member to be there.
So we don't have anything on the July 22nd agenda other than the policy meeting ahead of time.
And we don't need that either. There's nothing pressing on policy for doing.
So are the Canterbury folks attending a meeting on the 22nd? Is that the plan or goal?
I wouldn't be attending as a school board member. I'd be attending as a resident.
Or you want to attend it as a resident?
I'd like to.
And you probably do as well.
Is it bad to say that I don't plan on attending? Not that I'm not interested.
The only reason
Honestly, I could go either way because I know that Calvin would attend, so.
The only reason I ask is, if we don't have any agenda items and we have a couple people that we know are probably not going to be at the meeting, why are we having a meeting?
Well, I would say if we don't have any agenda items, regardless of, like.
Well, yeah,
I like seeing you all.
I totally agree with you. But I'm not opposed to making up agenda items as well.
Wow!
Like, hey, you laugh. We didn't have a June 2nd meeting. We got a lot of stuff going on at the school district. We shouldn't be taking Meet with them.
I don't have a problem, but what would we, I'm happy to have a meeting, it's on, but
If we
I
have
would
agenda
come-
items, this
If
is
nobody else
obviously
came
my
up with them, I would
priority.
come up with agenda items.
well, I'm just curious, what would you like to discuss?
Oh, God, on the spot? I would like to, I mean, we've talked about legislation. We haven't talked about that as a board.
Yeah, the ones that,
Certainly the ones that have passed.
yeah, I think, well, so
Like-
I think we are going to need to talk about, because there's significant impacts to policy.
Yeah, I just think there's enough going on that we could find a agenda. It's like, I'm not worried about that. So, anyway, what I'm getting is we're probably not gonna have a July 22nd.
Okay.
As for legislative discussions, that's something that we should get engaged with at the beginning of the legislative cycle. At this point, it's the tail end, and we're gonna have to discuss the impact of the decisions that are made.
Well, that's what I.
Well, I guess that's what I was
Yeah,
talking
that's
about.
what
And again, I don't know if it's even our place to talk about how we're going to implement things that haven't been spelled out to us.
Correct.
Like the high school's gonna have to implement a ban, a spelled bell ban.
Maybe.
What do you mean maybe it passed?
It
It was in the,
I
it was in the
understand.
budget.
They're still asking for clarity between parties, so that's why I'm not hopeful that we're gonna get any type of.
Oh, I'm not hopeful, but I
Direction.
think that we need to be ahead of it.
If we have to develop policy for it.
Well, that's,
Can we currently have policies in place?
but not
It's not a
for,
full ban,
right.
but we'll have to work that out. Which you'll see in handbooks.
Which then, I guess we're gonna see it August 12th.
Maybe first reading for handbooks is the 12th.
Okay, I'm moving on. It's been way more than I intended. Agenda.
So no meeting on the 22nd?
No meeting on 22nd.
So then I'm gonna request an action item then, if it's okay by the board, to give you the authority to hire between, I should have done that in
I
June.
thought we had done that. We do that every year.
We
Yeah,
missed it this
we
year.
missed it.
So if the board could make a motion to give me the authority to hire between board meetings, that would be great.
Need a motion?
Oh, I make a motion to give Michael the authority to hire in between this board meeting and August 12th.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's quick.
Thank you.
All right. Volunteer list.
Make a motion to set the volunteer list with no, I can't talk exceptions.
Second.
Motion and a second. Some of us are probably on this list, but there's no financial impact or anything, so historically we've taken action even though our name's on the list.
I do have a question. There's some of the names that are highlighted. What is the significance of the highlight?
That's pending fingerprint,
Oh.
background check results coming in.
Just to be clear, the fingerprinting is done the first time they volunteer.
Yes.
So if you volunteer, this is my 10th year volunteering, I just have to basically sign.
As long as you've been an active volunteer.
Correct. As in, I was approved on an annual basis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If there's a break in that in any way,
Right.
you have to be reprinted. So if you skip a year putting in an affidavit,
And that's
you
in
have
our
to be
policy,
reprinted.
right?
Not specifically policy, it's procedure. That's our
So that's
practice.
why when we make the motion, we say like noting
Noting.
conditionals or whatever.
Right.
All right, we get a motion and a second, right? Got it.
Jeff and Michelle.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes, and we've got internal policy, second readings.
Yep. So all of these are up for second reading. If you have any questions. But I think we can vote to approve in the bucket.
I had a specific question on GCQC. It doesn't impact whether and how I'm voting on it, but it talks about resignations tendered after July 1st will not be accepted. I've never considered that happen as a board. Like, if we get a resignation today, just accept the resignation.
We accept the resignation because, I mean, you have to accept the resignation. There's nothing to do about that. But we do put the liquidated damage clause into play.
But the policy says,
It's come
Will not
straight from
accept
the
it.
school board association, just so you know why it's there. It's what the school board association had. Because I had the same question during policy. It says we won't accept it. I'm like, well, we can't not accept it. I mean,
and I've never been on a board that said, yeah, we're not going to accept that resignation until we find something.
it is odd language. I don't know if it comes out of statute or something, because it's directly from school, if I'm remembering correctly.
It is. It's directly from the New Hampshire School Boards Association sample policy. And I do believe it has something to do with whatever legalities that are supporting that.
So just so you understand the process too, so if we have someone that resigns after July 1st, we implement the liquidated damage clause. However, it's a courtesy call between superintendents prior to that employee potentially resigning, that they're potentially going to hire them in another district. And we do ask that they do not issue contracts or provide a contract until a suitable replacement is found. And we've had people that have had to stay in the district all the way into the next school year until we found a replacement, because the other school district superintendent adheres to that. We're not going to cut you a contract until the other district finds a suitable replacement, because you're putting that district in a bind.
So, but I'm assuming that when we get resignations, like we probably have one, right? That process has already worked itself out. So by the time we get it, we've basically gotten my stamp of approval to, yeah, you can accept this resignation.
Yeah, not always. I wouldn't say always. As soon as we get the resignation, we provide it to the board to acknowledge the resignation. I'm working with the other superintendent when it comes to issuing contracts.
Okay.
But it
Anyway,
is odd language.
yeah, it hasn't been a past practice of ours, as far as I
We
know.
will not accept.
Not accept. All right, accept the motion that you're comfortable doing all of them at once.
Make a motion to approve policy GBK, GCG, GCID, GCO, GCQC.
Second.
Further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We have Appendix B nominations. These are in the non-public packet. And if there are no questions, we can move forward.
Make a motion to accept the Appendix B nomination.
Second.
Questions of a public nature? All right, all those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. All right, BES Elementary Teacher. I don't know if we want to, like, if we're comfortable, we'll do these now. I did have a general question about that specific one, I believe. Yeah.
That's non-public or public
No,
discussion?
sorry, it's a public question. Why the low number of candidates applying?
I can't answer that.
Like, that's a regular elementary school teaching position.
Correct. That's what we're seeing.
across school districts?
Mhm.
Because I know like specialty, high school science or whatever, foreign languages, those are harder to come by, but.
The pool gets shallower and shallower every year. Particularly in our state.
This one was also originally posted as an anticipated. So maybe people didn't realize when it got changed to a regular opening, I don't know.
Was it posted for a typical amount of time?
Mhm.
And speaking with the teacher prep programs for our, our state colleges and universities, students that are graduating with their teaching certification are leaving the state, crossing the border.
All right, let's do these one at a time, but if there's no questions, we can, non-public questions, we can move forward with these.
Motion to, accept the, accept the BES Elementary Teacher. Are we accepting, are we hiring, what are we doing? Hire?
Motion to accept the nomination. of
That's
the
right.
BES
That's what I
Elementary
said,
teacher.
Greta. Did you get that?
Nah, it's already there, Michelle.
Okay.
Second.
Second by Jeff.
Jeff's already there too.
Any other questions?
Try and keep it easy for you.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, BES Elementary Teacher passes. Next up is the Director of Curriculum and Instruction.
Make a motion to accept the Director of Curriculum Instruction nomination.
More people applying for this one.
Yeah. No questions. Okay. Any other questions? All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Opposed? That position passes, and we have a special ed teacher.
Make a motion to accept the nomination for special ed teacher.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Michael, this still keeps us, or makes us woefully inadequate as far as our numbers go for special ed, right?
We're still,
We have a lot.
we still have vacancies, special ed teacher vacancies. This is very helpful though.
All right. Motion and a second. All those in favor? Motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. We have 2 resignations that we will acknowledge and we will allow.
We've already covered.
Yeah. All right. Public communication and correspondence.
I want to say something. I'm Edgar Rivera from Canterbury. I wanted to remind the board that back in March, beginning of April, shortly after the elections happened, it was stated that in the past, the board has gone through and looked at the infrastructure as far as the organizational chart of the school district and actually went position by position to see what was actually needed and not needed. And it was said since in June and July, there wasn't too much going on before the budget season started, that you were planning on sitting down and actually going through that process again to look into it to see if we can alleviate the budget in some kind of way. Here we are in July. As far as right now, there's no meeting in the end of the month. Budget season begins. That topic gets brought up. There's not enough time. And I think it was said right after elections because of what was going on. I would hope that the board looks back and see that it was said, it was discussed about that because a lot of the budget is driven by the personnel. Everybody always talks about, oh, the CBA you can't touch, so you can't, that's the part of the budget you can't touch. And this was the way that we could bring that down if possible. If there was some, I'm not sure how it was done in the past, but there was conversation that there were ways that positions were reduced where they could, so that the budget could be affected. I really hope that the school board does look into that, especially before we start digging into the budget season, because if not, last meeting, you already talked about part of the funds going to the AC issues. You already hear conversations about some funds that might not hit the school districts. I don't know if that's actually going to happen or not, but how it's going to impact the town, especially for Canterbury, that is going to see some growth as far as the government part. I really will hope that the school district, being the bigger budget, looks into that and actually goes into that process of looking through other positions in the school district, and we don't keep rolling positions over that keep the budget up, even though the positions are not being filled. Thank you.
All right, thank you. What you're saying makes sense. The only thing I would add is, we don't typically respond to public comment, but I do want to make sure we're clear that the project, the HVAC project that we're talking about, I think there was discussion at the last meeting that I was not approving some money for that. That is not air conditioning, correct? That's not, that's like airflow, like.
Correct.
Yeah, the
I don't want
air
to
portions,
now
yeah.
adding AC to the
Yeah.
the building.
I just couldn't remember the name of it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
No, thank you. Thank you for the feedback. All right, do we have anything for non-public? All right,
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
all right, all in favor, roll call? All right. Motion, meeting adjourned.